A great pleasure right now to join us on the book talk segment of the show. A woman who's written a very interesting and very helpful book. It's a great title, How to Be a Person. 65 hugely useful, super important skills to learn before you're grown up. We're joined today by Catherine Newman, and I'm sure you know her as the etiquette columnist for Real Simple magazine. And she joined us by telephone today. And Catherine, good to talk with you. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
Are you up in Massachusetts, right?
I am. I'm in Amherst, Massachusetts, where it's raining and foggy, and here we are.
I was going to say, the weather starts to turn quick after Labor Day up north. I'm from up there originally, not Boston, but New York.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm from New York, too. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, Long Island guys. Oh, yeah, great. Always talk to somebody. Good to talk to somebody from New York.
I know, right? Then we can lapse into our New York accent.
That's it. Well, I tried to get rid of it, so.
Yep.
Well, I really enjoyed reading through your book. I know it's kind of geared toward kids, right? 10 and up, basically, is the age group. But I think you're providing a service, and it's an entertaining book, too. You don't want to get the wrong impression. It's kind of a fun book with great illustrations and all that. But you're really providing a lot of information that, I guess, sadly, a lot of parents aren't teaching their kids nowadays, right?
Yeah, I think it's just a mix of things. I think a lot people are teaching their kids things. People are teaching their kids maybe different stuff. And I think we might incorrectly assume that some basic skills kids just learn from immersion, the way you learn language.
Right.
But the truth is, no one ever learned to clean a bathroom because, the bathroom was being cleaned invisibly in the house.
Right.
They're not learning. They're not learning everything. And kids, by and large, also aren't taking home ec at school anymore. So some of the stuff I learned as a kid, like how to sew on a button or, boil a pot of spaghetti, kids aren't necessarily learning. So my hope is that, if you're a kid and you pick this up, there's a bunch of stuff you already know how to do. That's awesome. But there's also a bunch of stuff you might not know how to do. And you can kind of skim around a little bit.
Well, we learned how to clean our bathroom in our house because my mother was a nurse and she always wanted things clean, so she taught us.
Nice. Right, which is great. You pick your things that you care about and make sure your kids know how to do those things.
But the money thing,
I
too.
always say, yes.
I was going to say, the money, my dad was in the banking industry, so he taught us that. So, but yeah, a lot of parents may not do that, or like you said, it gets done and the kids say, okay, well, I never had to learn it until you're on your own.
Yeah, and maybe you didn't even know it was happening is
right.
The weird thing, too, that I think a lot of stuff happens kind of invisibly, or we protect kids. We might donate money charitably and never think to mention it to kids, which is such a missed opportunity. We want kids to see us doing our grown-up things so that they learn what happens. How do we do that? How do we tip the pizza guy? They see the pizza come, they eat the pizza, but maybe they miss the part where we tipped the guy who brought it. I think we just want to pull back the veil so everything's not so mysterious.
Yeah, you have a nice little chapter on how to calculate a tip, and people say, well, that's obvious. Well, not necessarily. You should know the basic, what is expected if it's decent service, right? So somebody should have explained it to you when you're a kid.
Yeah, I think that's just good to know. And then, when your kids go out with their friends for the first time, maybe they're sitting at a diner or whatever, they'll know how to tip their server, if that's a good skill.
Another one you had, and again, we did that in our family because we were told to, but we did it willingly after we were told. Writing a thank you note. I don't know if anybody does that anymore. I guess they write thank you emails now, but do they? Or
Thank you emails mostly fine, but there are a lot of occasions still where I would encourage people to write a thank you note, partly because it actually feels good, and partly because it brings so much pleasure. So, like your grandma, she'll be happy if you send her an email, but oh my gosh, she's going to be so thrilled if you send her a note. And so part of being a person for me is thinking a little bit about, what do the people in your life need? Like, how can you be your best, most gracious self moving through the world? And writing a thank you note. Your grandma knit you a sweater for a year and sent it on your birthday. you could send her a thank you note. You could take the 5 minutes, Everything doesn't need to happen instantaneously.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, our grandparents, fortunately, we had 2 sets, and they would, send you money like grandparents tend to do, and right away you'd write a little thank you note, and they were always happy to get the note, so that was good. That's good advice.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
Well, how did you kind of put this book together? Obviously, things we just talked about, maybe you learned growing up, and I did, but how did you kind of put the 65 things together?
Yeah, we were trying to, what I really wanted to write was like a giant photo illustrated encyclopedia of chores for children. And when I pitched that book, the publisher was like, yeah, nobody wants that book but you, which is probably true. I really wanted that book. But so we kind of, we just kept coming up with lists of the kinds of things that you need to do in the world to be kind of your best, most helpful self. How do you live in community? How do you live in a household? We just kept asking ourselves these questions. What needs to happen? How do you be a citizen? How do you be a responsible, kid, a responsible friend? And so we started to just generate lists of different types of skills. Some of the basic laundry, unloading the dishwasher skills, but also more complicated skills. How do you apologize? How do you have a conversation or include somebody who's being left out?
Right.
Just stuff that comes up where your job is to do the best you can do.
You mentioned having a conversation. I think that's an art that's dangerously close to going away, because kids just get used to talking to each other on the phone and not talking, texting. So that conversation, they never learn how to do that, right?
I'm worried about it. I think kids, I think if you give them an occasion to rise to, they rise to it. So I think some of it's our fault. I feel like if your kid's talking to you, put your phone down. You know what I mean? Like we're critical of them, but I also worry that we're not always modeling real curiosity and engagement. Sometimes I think the lost art maybe is curiosity, that
Right.
that we're interested in each other, and we start teaching that by giving it to our kids and each other. We show them how to do it.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of adults, probably more adults, that can't hold a conversation nowadays. So you're right. I think adults should read it, this chapter.
Yeah, I know, right?
Many.
You can just kind of leave it out and see if,
That's it. Well, I know we're kind of running out of time, but we just want to touch on some of the things in the book. Again, 65 hugely useful, super important skills to learn before you're growing up. How to Be a Person is the full title of the book. And Catherine, I know you do your articles and your blog. Give it your website, if you will, for people to get more information on the book.
Well, the book's available everywhere books are sold, as they say. And I'm very Googleable. I'm Catherine Newman, Catherine with a C, and I have a website and a blog, and I'm on Instagram, and I write a column for Real Simple. So come and find me online.
Great. And we'll put a link as well on our website. But Catherine, real pleasure talking to you. And again, congratulations on the book. And please keep in touch. Hopefully we can talk to you again.
Thank you so much. Oh, great. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.